Welcome to the channel, guys. My name's Danny Malcolm. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video is all about how to use these babies a little bit more to improve not only your distance and your speed, but also your phase control, which ultimately affects where the golf ball finishes. So the video is going to be split into two parts. Part one is all about how to create the effortless speed by utilizing your hands and your wrists a little bit more. And part two is going to be all about phase control and improving that directional control. So let's dive straight into it. First, creating speed and power. Now, oftentimes for the everyday golfer, I see people really leaving speed and distance on the table, often through a fear of utilizing their hands and their wrists to create speed. Now, we really need to use these babies to create speed at the end of the golf club with the club head. So if you think of the analogy of perhaps a whip, so if I was going to use a whip and crack the whip, I'll be using the wrist at the very end to whip and create that maximum speed. And if all this is in a good sequence, you get maximum effortless power at the very end. A lot of people are playing golf this way, and we're not getting that maximum speed and that delivery at the end. Everything's very much together. In the golf swing, that would look like this. So we'd be very much trying to swing in this nature, which means the club head's not traveling very fast, similar speeds with what your hands are going. Obviously it'll be faster, but it's that analogy. A lot of people are trying to force the ball out there rather than using that effortless speed that we can create through utilizing the hands and the wrists a little bit more. So let's dive into that. Now first, let's assume you've got a good grip, guys, because the grip's not just the hands, it's not just the grip, it's the arms, it's the the forearms, it's the shoulders, it's the rib cage. How you hold the golf club affects so much with how we can move and create power and control this heavy thing at the end of a long stick. So by having a good sound grip, it's going to allow us to move this club in every direction to create maximum speed and also better phase control later on. So assuming you've got a good grip, guys, now we're going to hit some little swings and just try and get these wrists moving a bit more, particularly for players who aren't hitting it as far as they would like. Now, if you're a really fast ball speed player, then you might want to take the wrist out a little bit more, control it a little bit more, passively with those hands. But for the majority of golfers that I see on a daily basis, we could certainly benefit from using these more. So you can see here, I'm just allowing the hands to just hinge and rehinge and just create that little bit of whip at the bottom there. You could even use as a training, get one of these alignment rods, and you can just do some little swings, but try and create maximum whoosh, maximum speed. And you can see that I'm just using the wrist. I'm not moving my body too much, and I'm just getting that maximum speed now. If I go more like this and I don't crack the whip, there's hardly any. So max effort, but this isn't making very much sound. So if you get that, can you hear that? And you can start to really generate some tremendous speeds through these babies. So that's a good one you can do. And then you can bring that into the golf ball and just ping some out there. So I've got a 7-iron, and I'm just going to do some little P3 to 9 drills, which is just half swing back, half swing through. And I'm just going to see, just build it up and just see what I can do by utilizing those wrists a little bit more, creating this power. So I'm just nudging a couple out there, just half swings, letting those wrists do what they need to do. And these are already going out at 140 yards. You see, so you should be able to nudge these out there quite comfortably at 140 yards, just with little half swings. Now, assuming you've got no wrist injuries, of course, but you can see that's pretty effortless there, guys. Instead of trying to grunt it down there, now that's tiring me out. And if I just make it effortless, make it efficient, and that's what we're trying to do as coaches in the golf swing, make it efficient, make it efficient. So that's the first thing there, guys. I would recommend get an alignment rod out, feel that whoosh, maximum speed with less effort, and then you can bring it into these half swing drills and just see how many you can nudge out there. Then when you start to go full swing, you'll just start to generate much more effortless speed. So guys, that's generating speed and distance through utilizing these hands a little bit more. Now the main thing I really wanted to discuss in this video is face control. So we'll dive on to point number 2, face control. Now Tiger Woods, when he obviously had some injuries and then he was getting back playing, yes, his body was a little bit limited, but what he said was, well, I've still got my hands. Now what he's talking about there is well-educated hands. Now this is one of the biggest differences I see between the everyday golfer and professionals, is how well they can utilize the training, the understanding of what these create in the golf swing. So, I mean, this, assuming you've got a good grip again, but either way, these really dictate what your club face does, and the wrists work in different motions. You've got wrist cocking, up and down, ulnar, radial deviation. You've got flexion, extension. You've got, you know, pronation, supination, pronation with these forearms as well, and all of which affect face angle, loft delivery, and we could dive deep into that and perhaps in another video. But what I want to give you guys here today is something that's just going to help educate them with some practice and some, I guess, exploration, some experimentation. Now, when you're working on face control, I recommend doing it wrong to get it right, exploring the ranges of what your wrists can do and what the club face can do. So, for example, what brings me back to a story that's just come up there. When I was a junior golfer, 14, 15 years old, at the driving range. Now, buying golf balls then was very expensive. We couldn't really afford to just keep buying buckets after bucket. We'd be there all day long hitting tons and tons of golf balls. But how we managed to get free golf balls was by going out on the range and using those little buggies to pick up all the golf balls. So we got free golf balls basically by picking them all up, and those 3 or 4 of us juniors, great friends, that would take it in turns to pick up these golf balls. But when any of us, so when my buddy was out there picking up the golf balls, and we'd do it to each other. There was a cage on there, but we'd be trying to hit each other. So they'd be going around on the range, back and forth, side to side, and they'd be moving a little bit more to the right. So I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I've got to just open my face that little bit more and try and get it to hit him. And then, oh, I missed him. He said, oh, he's going too fast. So, okay, I need to open it up even more. And I'm just trying to, and this is really, guys, where I actually learned face control. Obviously, this was before coaching. This was just experimenting, just having fun, being playful, having that mindset. Yes, I was trying to hit my buddy. There was actually a little hole in the cage there, so it's pretty dangerous. We won't be able to do that today, that's for sure, in today's world. But then you'd be going back the other way, back across the range. You'd be going to the left, and I go, okay, well, let's try and hit him there. Let's try and get him, and then you'd hear that, ping, and you go, yes, I got him. And he'd be there frightened, and so would I, because it'd come back to me, because I'd then be picking them up and they'd be trying to get me as well. So, but what I'm saying, guys, is use the driving range as your lab. If you as a scientist, get out there, enjoy, be creative, because golf's not about hitting a perfect stock shot every single time. It's about getting it around a golf course. It's a little bit of a curve here, a little bit of curve there, a little bit lower here, a little bit higher there. Being more of an artist, and that's what I think Tiger's talking about when he's saying educated hands. And this is what sort of distinguishes the really skilled players versus the lesser skilled players. And so when you're looking at, an analogy is if you're trying to just hit it more to the right, obviously you're not probably trying to hit your buddy out there, but just feeling that almost like you're hitting a little slice shot in tennis. So this hand is, you know, the wrists are getting into this sort of position. I'll get a tennis racket and show you here, and you can sort of see, you know, that is going to leave that face a little bit more open, and that's going to get the face angle presented more to the right. So you could start with that and just see what it's like to just cut some on purpose. So you're doing it wrong to get it right. So you're here, I'm just going to feel a little bit of a slicey one and just see how that comes out. Then I might want to slice it a little bit less. So you start to just develop this little bit of awareness about where your face is. Now this is happening at high speed. You could do it slow and build it up, do it fast. jump about at different speeds throughout the practice session, but you're just educating, and really we're working between, so it's almost like a feeling with your eyes closed. You can close your eyes, have your club here up at 12 o'clock on the clock face, close your eyes, and you're just exploring that range between sort of 3 and 9 on the clock face. And that's really where you're playing golf between, and it's how you time that. Now, there's no perfect science to it. It's just educating those hands, getting a good understanding. And then the opposite to that would be curving it to the left. So that's more of a topspin forehand in tennis. This sort of sensation, notice how that club face starts to close, or the racket in this face starts to close. So then we can start to set up the same, and now we start to just peel it out to the left. Again, just understanding those feels, those ideas. It gets the club face to present more left. Then I might do it a little bit less. And this is something, as I said, I've trained a lot, and it's still not perfect, but you're never going to control it perfectly. But you need that understanding. So when you're on the golf course, if you hit one out to the right, you need to then correct that on the next shot if it's, of course, caused a problem. Conversely, if you hit it left, you need to correct it and feel a bit the other way. So you do this sort of experimental practice, doing it wrong to get it right, if you will. And then almost like a sprinkler, you start to calibrate left, right, left, right, left, right in different directions. And then you start to bring it more back to the middle, and you start to just understand that face control, guys. So that there's a skill that I think is very under-trained, very underutilized. We look for all these complicated ideas when really we want to just educate those hands. Put the ego aside when we're practicing on the range and there's people next to us, and you stand up there and purposely in your mind you're trying to hit a real big draw, for example, and then you get there and you hit this massive one left, and you might be worried about what the people next to you are thinking, but you're training. You're going to be improving better than what they are through skill development. Huge aspect, guys, huge aspect. And then when it comes to curvature, just finishing now on curvature, is you take that same idea. Now, if that face is presented left that much, then what will often happen, you'll start to understand how to shift your club path to get it to, because we don't want the ball when we're playing to be miles left or miles right. But then with that understanding of your hands, you can start to get the club path swinging more out to the right to offset that club face, to get that curvature. And you can do the exact same for the other way, and you just start to explore the matchups to create curvature. Now, one of my top 5 tips, if you click the link below, you'll see a link there for my top 5 tips. One of them is to create a trusted shot shape, and I think that's vital. So when you're under pressure, you have an idea, a pattern, understand your pattern, what shot do you hit easily, is it a little fade, is it a little draw? And by understanding how to create your most trusted shot shape, you can then go onto the course with more confidence, knowing that you can correct it either way. But you know, so one of my key tips there I would recommend for the everyday golfer, particularly those with slightly higher club speeds as well. So guys, get out there, be an athlete on the range, have some fun, get creative. Use these for more power, understand what these do for face control, huge aspects. I guarantee you that's going to lower your scores, lower your handicap. You're going to have heaps more fun on the golf course. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any questions, please post them below. Let's keep this conversation going. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and we'll see you again very soon.